something special this evening. Did just a discussion meeting and a Q&A meeting. It's been a while. I think it's been about a year since we did it. But the reason being, you don't have to come here long enough to realize that I don't preach very much. I do more teaching than preaching. If you want to define teaching, it would be installing doctrine. We're learning data. We're learning what God says about certain topics, about certain doctrines. Preaching, on the other hand, what's that?
Preaching is talking about Pennsylvania.
Preaching, the best definition for preaching, it would be you're stirring up doctrine that's already been installed in people. You're churning it up and trying to get something to happen for people to make changes or do things or think things differently. And the reason I don't preach very much is because all of us know from experience, we spend the majority of our lives wandering around the desert of Christianity or churchianity, looking for a little oasis here or a little oasis there of right doctrine. But most of us, our whole lives, did not have a steady diet of right doctrine being implanted. So we've been preached at our whole lives, mostly without doctrine. So if you're not stirring up doctrine with your preaching because there's none there or you don't have any, what are you stirring up? There you go, emotions. You get your emotions stirred up and, oh, that was beautiful, preacher. Oh, that was wonderful. And how long does that last? You're fighting with your wife by the time you start the car, right? And it doesn't last. So most people go to church, have their emotions stirred up, go home, repeat next week. Nothing ever changes. They don't learn anything really. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do preaching much. But the other thing is we all have been starved for right doctrine most of our lives. I spent the majority of my life without it. So we need it. We need to take it all in. So that's why we do it that way. The other thing that we do here is we always leave time for people to ask questions. Questions are something I spent, again, the majority of my life not getting answers for. Because what happens when you question the speaker? Why, he's called of God, and the Lord told him to say this to you, and how dare you question what he preached from the pulpit? So you're kind of discouraged from asking questions. Churches now these days, you got to go through a committee of sub-pastors to get to the chieftain pastor. You know, they're so big. But has anybody ever had this happen to them? When you ask a question, it's like red alert goes off with the deacon board, and they're all looking at you like, oh, we've got a subversive here.
No, I've never done that.
Never. We've got a troublemaker. Somebody's questioning the doctrine. Ooga, ooga.
Never told them that they should be following Paul.
But before it gets to all that, here you are. I'm just like, hey, preacher, I got a question. And you're not getting answers, and you're getting pushed aside. So we always want to ask questions here. The other thing I've seen going on, because of talking with friends and acquaintances that I have that go, all the non-denominational churches in the area that are all exactly the same. They're not denominational, but they all preach the same thing. You've got now, because they don't care much about doctrine, and it's about building up the community center, you go to 4 different pastors, ask the same question, you'll get 4 different answers. Because none of them agree on doctrine. And you've got the Calvinist pastor here and the Arminian there. There was a woman in my house this week that my wife was ministering to, trying to help because of a horrible message she heard at church from, the sub-pastor got the pulpit that week. And she was terribly confused. So with that, this is a Q&A discussion meeting. Open forum. We're going to ask... I've got prepared questions that have been asked of me recently that we can go over. If anybody else has a question on a Bible doctrine or something, it's wide open. The last time we did this, I think think we went on for an hour and a half because it was just got very, it was good. But first, and like I said, I think it's been a year since we've done one. Last time we did it, everybody said, "Oh, that's great. Let's do it again soon." And I forgot. But first,